My husband asked me to sleep with his boss for money. The question that changed everything. The night was quiet in a way that felt heavy. Not peaceful, just tense. Alicia stood at the kitchen sink, rinsing the last plate from dinner. The faucet hummed softly. Her reflection in the small window above the sink looked tired. Not just tired in the body, but in the soul. Behind her, Marcus sat at the table, elbows resting on the wood, fingers interlocked. He had barely touched his food. That alone should have warned her. "You've been quiet all evening," Alicia said, turning off the tap. "Everything okay at work?" Marcus swallowed.
"Yeah, no."
"Not really." She dried her hands slowly and sat across from him. 12 years of marriage had taught her when to brace herself. "They're cutting people," he continued. "Layoffs. Bonuses frozen. Rent is due next week. My mom called again about her medical bills." Alicia nodded. She already knew all of this. She was a nurse. She worked double shifts. She carried weight too. "We'll figure it out," she said softly. "We always do." Marcus looked up at her then. His eyes were strange, restless, almost desperate. "There is a way," he said. Something inside Alicia tightened. "What kind of way?" she asked. He hesitated, looked down, then forced the words out. "My boss, Mr. Caldwell." He made a suggestion. Alicia frowned. "About work." Marcus shook his head. His voice dropped. "About you." The room went silent. Alicia felt her chest go cold. "About me how?" Marcus's jaw clenched. "He said he could help me financially. Big help. Promotion.
Yes.
No questions asked." "And?" Alicia whispered. Marcus finally met her eyes. He said, "If you spent some time with him. Just once. No emotions. Just business." The words landed like glass. Alicia stared at her husband, waiting for the punchline that never came. "You're joking," she said slowly. Marcus didn't answer. Her heart began to pound. "You're joking, right?" "I wouldn't ask if I wasn't desperate," he said quickly. "It's not like I want this. People do worse things to survive." Alicia stood up so fast the chair scraped the floor. "You're asking me to sell my body so you can keep your job." Her voice shook. "You're asking me to be used?" "It's not like that," Marcus insisted. "It's a sacrifice. For us. For the family." She laughed once, sharp, broken. "A sacrifice," she repeated. "So my dignity is the currency now?" Marcus reached for her hand. She pulled away. "I married you because I thought you'd protect me," she said, tears burning her eyes. "Not offer me up." He looked ashamed. But he didn't take the words back. And that hurt more than the question itself. Alicia didn't sleep that night. She lay on her side of the bed, staring at the wall, while Marcus breathed beside her like nothing had shattered. Every memory replayed differently now. The vows. The promises. The nights she worked late so he could focus on his career. At 3:17 a.m., she finally got up. She stood in the bathroom, looking at herself in the mirror. Was this what he saw when he looked at her? An option. A solution. A means to an end? Her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus, though he was in the same house. "I'm sorry if it sounded harsh. Think about it. Please. Think about it." As if her body were a business proposal. The next morning, Alicia went to work exhausted. During her break, she sat in her car and cried until her chest hurt. She didn't tell her co-workers. Didn't tell her friends. Some betrayals feel too heavy to share. That evening, Marcus tried to act normal. Asked about her day. Mentioned groceries. She watched him carefully. "You didn't say no," he said quietly at last. She turned to him. "I also didn't say yes." He nodded, as if that gave him hope. "Alicia, this could change everything," he said. Just once. She took a deep breath. Let me be clear, she said slowly. If I do this, it won't be for us. It will be because you failed to stand as my husband. His face tightened. And if I don't, she continued, what happens to us then? Marcus didn't answer. That silence told her everything. 2 days later, Alicia made a decision. Not the one Marcus expected. She packed a small bag. When Marcus came home and saw it by the door, his face drained of color. What's that? He asked. My boundary, she said calmly. You're leaving. His voice cracked. I'm choosing myself, Alicia replied. Because no one else here did. He reached for her. Please, don't do this. I was under pressure. So was I, she said. But I didn't offer you to anyone. Tears rolled down his face. I didn't mean to hurt you. But you did, she said gently. And intent doesn't erase impact. She picked up her bag. Maybe one day you'll understand that love doesn't negotiate someone's body, she added. Until then, I can't be here. She walked out. Not broken, just awake. Alicia stayed with her older cousin, Renee, in a quiet apartment on the east side of the city. Renee didn't ask too many questions at first. She only opened her arms and said, You're safe here. That alone made Alicia cry. For the first few days, Alicia moved like someone learning to walk again. She woke up early, made tea, stared out the window, and tried to understand how her life had cracked open so suddenly. At night, Marcus called. She didn't answer. Not because she hated him, but because she needed silence to hear herself again. One evening, Renee finally spoke. You don't leave a marriage over nothing, she said gently. So what happened? Alicia hesitated. Then she told her everything. Renee didn't interrupt, didn't gasp, didn't judge. When Alicia finished, Renee exhaled slowly. That wasn't desperation, she said. That was betrayal dressed up as survival. Alicia nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. I keep wondering if I overreacted. Renee shook her head firmly. Any man who can suggest that doesn't see you as a partner. He sees you as an asset. That word, asset, hit hard. Alicia realized something then. Leaving hadn't made her weak. Staying would have. Marcus lost his job 2 weeks later. Not because Alicia refused, but because the company was audited. Mr. Caldwell was exposed for exploiting employees, especially women connected to struggling staff. The irony crushed Marcus. He sat alone in the apartment that once held laughter and shared dreams. Now it held silence and shame. He replayed the moment he asked Alicia that question. At the time, he had convinced himself it was temporary, practical, necessary. Now it sounded exactly like what it was. Cowardice. He went to therapy for the first time in his life. The therapist didn't soften the truth. You attempted to outsource your responsibility as a husband, she said calmly. Do you understand the damage of that? Marcus nodded, tears in his eyes. I do now. Understanding is the first step, she replied. Accountability is the next. He wanted to call Alicia, to explain, to apologize again. But for the first time, he realized apologies don't entitle you to access. Alicia returned to work with a different energy. Still tired. Still healing. But clearer. She applied for a leadership role at the hospital, something she had put off for years to support Marcus's dreams. This time, she chose herself. Her supervisor noticed. You've changed, she said. More grounded. Alicia smiled softly. I stopped shrinking. Outside of work, she joined a women's support group. Stories filled the room. Different details, same themes. Women who were asked to carry what men refused to. Women who learned to say no. Every week, Alicia felt a little lighter. One evening, she journaled. I didn't lose my marriage. I escaped a version of love that required my silence. She slept peacefully for the first time in months. Marcus didn't call. He wrote instead. A long letter. No excuses. No justifications. Only accountability. I failed you as a husband, it read. Not because I was poor, but because I was willing to pay with you. Alicia read it twice. She cried, not because she wanted him back, but because he finally named the truth. She didn't respond immediately. Healing doesn't rush. 6 months later, Alicia moved into her own apartment. Small, bright, quiet. On the wall, she hung a single frame with words she chose herself. My body is not a bargaining chip. My love is not for sale. My worth is not negotiable. She still believed in love. But now, it would be love that stood beside her, not on her. Alicia chose the cafe. Public. Neutral. Bright. She arrived 10 minutes early, not out of nervousness, but intention. She wanted to walk in already settled, already steady. When Marcus entered, she barely recognized him. He looked thinner, quieter, smaller somehow. They exchanged brief greetings and sat across from each other. Thank you for meeting me, Marcus said. Alicia nodded. I came for closure, not comfort. He swallowed. I understand. There was a pause. I lost everything, Marcus admitted. My job, my pride, and you. Alicia studied him carefully. You didn't lose me, she said. You gave me up the moment you thought money mattered more than my safety. His eyes filled with tears. I know. She leaned back. I need you to hear this clearly, she continued. What you asked wasn't just wrong. It rewired how I saw you. I stopped feeling protected the moment those words left your mouth. I hate myself for it, he whispered. That's yours to carry, Alicia replied calmly. Not mine. For the first time, Marcus nodded without arguing. Marcus cleared his throat. Is there any chance we could try again? Counseling? Starting over? Alicia didn't answer immediately. She took a sip of water. When I left, she said, I was choosing dignity over desperation. If I came back now, it would only be because I was afraid to be alone. She met his eyes. And I'm not afraid anymore. Marcus's shoulders slumped. I'm not punishing you, she added. I'm honoring myself. He nodded slowly. I hope one day you forgive me. I already have, Alicia said. Forgiveness is not reconciliation. It's release. She stood up. This is goodbye, she said gently. And it was. 3 weeks later, Alicia got the call. The hospital board approved her promotion. She would oversee a new community outreach program, focused on women's health, financial literacy, and abuse prevention. When she hung up the phone, she laughed. Then cried. Then laughed again. That night, she celebrated alone with takeout and music. And it felt perfect. She thought back to the woman she had been months ago, measuring her worth by how much she could sacrifice. That woman was gone. Marcus moved back in with his mother temporarily. He worked odd jobs, attended therapy regularly. He volunteered with a men's accountability group, listening to stories that sounded uncomfortably familiar. One night, a younger man spoke. I thought my wife owed me because I was struggling, the man said. I didn't realize I was asking her to bleed so I wouldn't. Marcus felt sick. For the first time, he understood the full weight of what he had done. Not just to Alicia, but to himself. Growth, he learned, is painful when it's honest. At a charity gala months later, Alicia met someone new. Not a savior. Not a fixer. Just a man who listened. His name was Daniel. A social worker. Divorced. Grounded. When she mentioned her past, he didn't pry. I'm glad you chose yourself, he said simply. That sentence alone told her everything she needed to know. They took things slow. No pressure. No bargains. Just presence. Alicia was invited to speak at a women's leadership conference. She stood at the podium, calm and clear. Some betrayals don't come with fists or shouting, she said. Some come as suggestions wrapped in desperation. The room went silent. When someone asks you to trade your body for their comfort, she continued, that is not love. That is fear wearing a familiar face. Applause filled the room, not because of drama, but because of truth. 1 year later, Alicia stood on her balcony, city lights glowing below. Her phone buzzed, a text from Renee. Proud of you. Always. She smiled. She hadn't just survived betrayal. She had transformed it. And if her story reached even one woman standing at a crossroads, afraid to say no, it was worth telling. Just when Alicia thought her past was fully behind her, it found its way back, quietly. A co-worker pulled her aside one afternoon. Hey, she said carefully, someone mentioned your ex-husband's name at a donor meeting. Something about a scandal from his old company. Alicia felt a brief tightening in her chest. Not fear. Not longing. Just awareness. That night, curiosity led her to search the news. The headline was simple but heavy. Former executive under investigation for coercion and abuse of power. Mr. Caldwell's face stared back at her from the screen. The article detailed years of exploitation, women pressured, families manipulated, livelihoods threatened. Alicia closed her laptop slowly. For the first time, she fully understood something important. What Marcus asked of her wasn't an isolated failure. It was part of a system that fed on silence. And she had refused to be silent. 2 days later, Marcus called. Alicia stared at the phone for a long moment before answering. Yes, she said calmly. I won't take much of your time, Marcus said quickly. I wanted you to hear it from me. I testified. She didn't respond right away. They asked about that night, he continued. About what I asked you to do. I told the truth. Alicia closed her eyes. Why? She asked. Because protecting my ego cost me everything, Marcus said quietly. I'm done protecting lies. She exhaled. Thank you, she said. Not for him, but for the truth finally standing on its own. When the call ended, she felt no urge to cry. Only relief. At the hospital, Alicia expanded her outreach program. Young women. Young couples. Community leaders. She spoke openly, not with bitterness, but clarity. One of the most dangerous myths, she told a room full of students, is that survival requires self-betrayal. Hands went up. Questions followed. Conversations bloomed. After one session, a young woman stayed behind. My boyfriend says real love means sacrifice, she said nervously. How do I know where the line is? Alicia smiled gently. Love never asks you to disappear, she said. That's the line. The girl nodded slowly, as if something inside her had just shifted. Daniel remained steady. He didn't rush. Didn't rescue. Didn't demand. One evening, as they walked through a park, Alicia stopped. I need to tell you something, she said. He turned fully toward her. I'm listening. If you ever feel like you have to compromise me to survive, she said softly, this won't work. Daniel didn't hesitate. I would rather struggle honestly than succeed by breaking you, he said. That was the moment Alicia knew. Not that she was healed completely, but that she was safe. Marcus watched Alicia from a distance, through community news, interviews, and stories that no longer included him. And for the first time, he didn't feel entitled to her growth.